Your brain is lying to you about money. Right now, somewhere in your head, there's a part of you that genuinely believes your future self is a completely different person. Not metaphorically. Neurologically. Brain scans show that when you think about future you, your brain lights up the same way it does when you think about a total stranger. That's why you can spend $200 tonight without guilt, but the moment someone mentions your retirement account, your eyes glaze over. It's not laziness, it's not stupidity. It's a glitch in the machine, and almost nobody knows it's happening to them. Here's why this matters more than almost anything else you'll learn about money this year. This single glitch is the reason smart, hard-working people retire with nothing. It's the reason someone earning $80,000 a year can feel more broke than someone earning $40,000. It's not about income. It's not about luck. It's about a hidden mechanism running quietly in the background of every financial decision you've ever made, and by the end of this video, you'll never look at your bank balance the same way again. Because once you see this pattern, you cannot unsee it. And that's exactly the point. Let's start with an experiment. In 2011, researchers at UCLA put people into brain scanners and asked them to think about themselves today. Then they asked them to think about themselves in 10 years. In most people, the brain activity for future me looked almost identical to the activity for a stranger. Your brain doesn't experience your future self as you. It experiences your future self as some other person you vaguely know, someone you don't feel especially loyal to, someone whose problems aren't really your problem yet. Think about what that means for money. Every time you choose a $6 coffee over putting that $6 towards savings, you're not being irresponsible. You're doing something your brain considers perfectly logical, which is helping the person in front of you, the one who's tired and stressed right now, instead of some vague stranger 30 years down the line who might not even need the help. Your brain is wired to protect the person who exists today. It was never wired to protect someone who technically doesn't exist yet. This is called temporal discounting, and here's the part that should genuinely alarm you. Studies have shown people will accept $50 today over $100 a year from now, even though that's mathematically a terrible deal. Double your money in 12 months for free, and a huge percentage of people say no. Not because they can't do the math, because the $50 feels real and the $100 feels imaginary. That's the core of the problem. Future money doesn't feel like real money. It feels like monopoly money, numbers on a board game you're not sure you'll ever actually play. Now here's where it gets personal. Picture two people. One earns $45,000 a year, the other earns $95,000 a year. On paper, the second person should be miles ahead. But research on lifestyle inflation shows something strange keeps happening. As income rises, spending quietly rises right alongside it. The $95,000 earner upgrades the apartment, upgrades the car, starts ordering delivery 4 nights a week instead of 1. Their future self is still that same vague stranger, so there's no one in the room pushing back on the bigger lease or the second streaming subscription nobody watches. Meanwhile, the $45,000 earner, terrified by tight margins, is forced to think about next month constantly. Fear, ironically, drags the future closer and makes it feel real. This is why so many people who look financially comfortable are actually one job loss away from disaster, while people who look like they're struggling are sometimes quietly building something solid. It's not about the number on the paycheck. It's about how real your future feels to you right now in this moment. So how do rich people, or more specifically, people who build lasting wealth, get around this glitch? This is the part almost nobody talks about. They don't have stronger willpower. Multiple studies on self-control have found that people with better financial habits aren't necessarily more disciplined. They've just restructured their environment so discipline isn't required. They automate transfers into savings the day they get paid before their present self even sees the money and starts negotiating for a new phone. They make the future automatic instead of optional. Your brain can't spend money it never sees, and it can't argue with a decision that already happened. There's another trick, and it sounds almost too simple to work, but the data backs it up. Hal Hirschfield, the researcher behind that brain scan study, ran an experiment where he showed people age-progressed images of themselves, digitally aged into their 60s and 70s. People who saw their own future face, instead of just imagining a vague future, put more than double the money into retirement savings afterward. Just seeing an aged photo of their own face was enough to make their brain treat future them as an actual person worth protecting instead of a stranger. This tells us something huge. The problem was never information. Everyone already knows they're supposed to save. The problem is emotional distance. Your brain needs to feel a connection to the person receiving the reward, and right now, for most people, that connection barely exists. Here's where the story takes a darker turn. Advertisers know about this glitch and they exploit it constantly. Buy now, pay later isn't a convenience feature. It's a direct attack on the part of your brain that struggles to value the future. It takes a decision that should involve your future self, the one who has to pay the bill in 6 weeks, and completely erases them from the moment of purchase. You feel like you're buying something for free, because in that instant, the person who actually pays doesn't feel real to you. That's not an accident, that's the entire business model. Credit card companies figured this out decades ago. The pain of paying is measurably reduced when you swipe instead of hand over cash, because cash forces you to feel the loss in the present moment, while a card pushes that pain into an abstract future. Every swipe is a tiny rehearsal of the same glitch. Sacrifice a stranger, reward yourself. But here's the hopeful part, and it's the reason this video isn't meant to scare you into hopelessness. Once you understand this mechanism, you can hijack it in your own favor. If your brain treats future you like a stranger, you can force a relationship with that stranger instead of ignoring them. People who write letters to their future selves describing what they hope life looks like in 10 years show measurably improved saving behavior in follow-up studies. It sounds almost silly, but the brain responds to vividness, not logic. Make the future specific, and it stops being monopoly money. There's a simple reframe that changes everything once you actually use it. Instead of asking, should I save this $500, ask, am I willing to take $500 away from the person who's going to need it most? That person isn't a stranger. That person is you, just 30 years further down the road, standing exactly where you're standing now, wondering why nobody back here thought of them. This single shift, treating future you as a real person instead of an abstraction, is quietly the difference between the people who retire comfortable and the people who work until they physically cannot anymore. It's not about willpower. It's not about income. It's about closing the emotional distance your own brain created without asking you. So here's the truth hiding underneath everything we've covered today. Your bank account isn't really the problem. Your income isn't really the problem. The real problem is a wiring flaw that makes tomorrow feel unreal, and once you see that flaw clearly, you finally have the power to outsmart it. Automate what you can, make your future self vivid instead of vague. Picture that older version of you standing in a kitchen somewhere, checking a bank balance, hoping someone back here made one good decision on their behalf. You are the only person who can make that decision for them. So, here's a question worth sitting with. If your future self could see exactly how you're spending money right now, would they thank you, or would they wish you'd thought of them just a little more often?